Would you rather watch an anime about cute little girls rather than buff spiky-haired dudes? If so, then you come to the right place. Now, anybody who knows me knows I have always loved anime. Now, I started off with, like how most people did, with Dragon Ball, and slowly I worked my way into other action anime that were airing on Toonami, like Naruto, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Cowboy Bebop. But to be honest, not that those shows are bad, it's just I don't really have the patience to sit through a 400 episode long story arc. So I started streaming anime on the internet, and I stuck to shorter series. And I found that my preference was more in comedy and shorter anime series. So I started to watch an anime genre called Slice of Life, which is my favorite genre. And I started to watch things like Lucky Star, Nichijou, Azumanga Dao, and my personal favorite, the anime we're talking about today, Strawberry Marshmallow. A slice of life about 4 elementary school girls and their older sister figure. Surprisingly, clips and reviews of this show are few and far between, and honestly was never very popular, and in the US it never actually got a home video release. The only way I heard about it was through the Anime on Demand service on DirecTV, and it was the very first anime I downloaded from that service, and it was the very first slice of life I ever watched, so it holds a bit of a special place in my heart. The plot is extremely simple. It's just 4 cute little girls doing cute things. That's literally it. There's no complicated storylines, no god-tier enemies, no giant robots, none of that. Just little girls living out their daily lives, making friends, playing, baking, going to school, and all of it is done extremely realistically. Like, it literally feels like you're watching just regular children just going about their daily lives. Plus, since there really is no plot, most of the show relies on the characters and the way they interact with each other that make up the meat of the show. The kids are really the only focus of the show. Their parents are never seen, like, at all, and the only adults in the anime are technically the older sister figure and a couple teachers. That's pretty much it. So it's kind of like an anime version of Peanuts. Now, of course, this kind of storytelling isn't perfect. One of the major flaws in the show is that if you aren't interested in the plot of the episode, you'll likely be bored with the whole episode. The whole episode usually focuses on 1 or 2 plot points. If you aren't hooked into the show's plot, you will probably get bored very fast. Especially since the show tends to kind of drag at times. But, I mean, that's the format of the show. First character is Chika. She is the main girl. And as No Boy describes her,
妹のチカ、12歳の小学6年生。特にこれといって特徴ないのが特徴です。
basically, she's kind of the bland audience surrogate. And out of all the girls, she's definitely the most generic. And that's not a bad thing, as she's also the most relatable. Then there's her big sister, No Boy. She's a fun-loving, smoking alcoholic that robs her little sister's piggy bank. Now here's a fun fact. In the manga, she is 16, which kind of explains some of her, immaturities. But in the anime, they boost her age to 20. Because obviously having a teenage girl smoking and drinking on a TV show geared toward a younger audience would never have gotten over with the censors. But to be fair, she does have some sweet and heartwarming moments. Although, one of the most shocking things about her character, she is what you would call a lolicon. And it's hinted that she gets some sort of pleasure out of the way these girls act. Like making them dress in cute costumes and just act, well, cute. It's kind of weird. But the most bizarre one is this clip here. And for context, she tricked a girl into wearing a cat costume. And she's having her say, "Yeah." Just watch. And then you got this one.
何がセクシーだが、お前おっぱい全然ないじゃんか。そこ行くとアナちゃんは見
Kind of a weird thing to be saying to a child. The next character is Matsuri. She's a shy, timid, and frail girl. She's also extremely gullible and sometimes accident-prone. And that's pretty much it with her character. Nothing really noteworthy happens with her, to be honest. I mean, she's really just kind of there to scream and cry at Miu's antics. And we'll get to Miu in a moment. Next is Anna. She's a transfer student from England. Of course, the thing is, she's lived in Japan throughout most of her life, and her family at home speaks Japanese. So this makes it where she can barely speak any English whatsoever. Of course, the running gag throughout the show is her speaking largely broken English.
My name is Anna. I came from England. How do you do? Nice to meet you.
In fact, in school she exclusively speaks broken English, because her whole story arc is that at her old school she got made fun of for being able to speak Japanese. So she puts up a bit of a facade about herself that she's able to speak English only. Of course, her and Matsuri constantly work on her English. And Matsuri is actually the better English speaker of the two. Another thing, Anna's Japanese is in a much more formal tone than the other girls, and she also seems to know a bit more about Japanese culture than the other girls as well. And the last character is Miu. She's a bit of a typical problem child. She's always playing elaborate pranks on everybody. She gets extremely jealous when No Boy shows attention to any of the other girls, and it's kind of hinted that she has a bit of a crush on No Boy, but it's never fully disclosed. Or she also kisses Chica, so she might be batting for the other team, who knows. And most of the jokes in the show are centered around her. In fact, most of the conflicts in the episodes are caused by her actions. She pretty much drives the whole plot. Now, I know the way I described her, she pretty much sounds like a bit of a pest. But without her, this would probably be an extremely boring anime. She also has a pretty bizarre line when they go to the beach.
6年なんだからさ、もっと私みたいにセクシーな。
Yeah, it's kind of weird hearing that come from a little girl. The opening theme is a very joyous and upbeat tune. Although the lyrics are a little bit weird. It's pretty much the repetition of the word strawberry girl. And one line is a little off. If you know your Japanese, one line literally translates to, even though they smell good, you shouldn't touch them. Of course, the subtitle is translated as something different, though. However, in complete contrast to the joyfulness of the opening theme is the ending theme, which is a very somber piece. And honestly, it can be pretty sad to listen to after a full episode. Of course, the worst time to listen to this is the last episode, knowing you'll never see these girls ever again. For episodes 1 through 11, after the credits, there's a bit of a cheerful preview with the instrumental version of the opening theme.
あのさ、騒ぐと暑いから部屋でおとなしくしてようよ。そうだね、夏だしね。次回も見てマシュマロ。
However, on the final one, it plays a sad song, and after the credits end, there's just blackness. That's it. animation is extremely fluid. The backgrounds are detailed, and the characters all have a unique look. And the facial expressions are detailed. The voices fit the characters very well, and they also match the character's appearance. However, in terms of sound, there is virtually no music in the show, except for, key scenes, like the opening, the ending, the title screen, and aside from that, there's really no music. The only time you hear music is, during particularly sappy scenes, like in a heart-to-heart talk.
ちゃん花ちゃんばっかりそんなことないって
Well, is anybody else getting a Full House vibe? And one thing I admire most about this show, it's pretty much 1 year summed up in 12 episodes. The first few episodes are set in spring, and then summer, where they do summer things, like going to a festival, pretty much die from heat exhaustion, and eat ice cream. Then is fall, and finally winter, ending with the last episode being about getting ready for Christmas. And there's a backstory about how Noboy dressed up as Santa and left a gift for Chica. It's all really sweet. And the main plot of the episode is the girls find out that Matsuri still believes in Santa Claus, which is a little weird for a 12-year-old. So the girls all dress up as reindeer and Santa and go to Matsuri's house and leave her a present. It's honestly a very sweet way to end a fantastic show. The eye catchers are the strangest part of this show. They are all close-ups of Noboy trying on different outfits. Now, some of them are pretty normal, but the ones for the first couple of episodes are pretty weird. For the first 3 episodes, it is a close-up of Noboy's ass, wearing a skirt. And the second eye catch is a close-up of her crotch when she's wearing unbuttoned jeans. I don't even know what to say. Japan is weird. There are 12 episodes of Strawberry Marshmallow in total. So it should be easy to get through the whole series in a couple days. But thankfully there's also a manga, which has an impressive 7 volumes. Now, to keep it short, when they changed it from a manga to an anime, there are a few small details changed. Obviously, since this doesn't have a story arc like Dragon Ball or Naruto, they can switch the scenes around. So, some things happen earlier than they did in the manga, and some things happen later than they did in the manga, and some things just don't happen at all. Another big example. Anna was not introduced in the manga until Volume 2. So sometimes they take scenes from the first volume, and when they made an anime adaptation of them, they make Anna a part of them. It's not a 100% accurate representation of the manga. It's got the shuffling of stories and the deletion of certain stories in the manga, but there's also a major flaw in the manga. There's a small bit of dialogue change. There's one episode and one panel in the manga that focus on Noboy getting a job as a waitress in a cafe. Now, spoiler warning, at the end of the episode, Yu cost her the job by starting a food fight. So she's fired, and then the next episode and panel in the manga play out the same. The girls are having a sleepover, and they're going grocery shopping before they go home. And since they're having a sleepover, Noboy allows them to each get 1 piece of candy. When Mew picks hers, Noboy immediately puts it back on the shelf. Now, like any kid would, she questions why she's being punished. Now, in the manga, Noboy tells her that because she cost her the job, she can't have candy. In the anime, her reasoning is a bit more bizarre. Just listen.
酸っぱいってさ、言いづらくない？字が2つ重なって言いづらいっつうの。プチチーズ。なんかこの辺がいいって。
Honestly, it makes Noboy look like a total bitch. So that's everything about the main series of Strawberry Marshmallow. All that's left to talk about is some of the merchandise and... oh god. The dub. Okay, I guess I have no choice. Well, let's get some of the less painful stuff out of the way first. First of all, there's a pilot, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. They're in the exact same bedroom that they are in the anime. However, for some reason, they're in a rocket ship in space. Why are they in space? It's never explained. Of course, it's worth a watch. It's only 3 minutes long, so... Next up, we have the dub. Now, here's an interesting fact. All the actresses in the dub were around the same age as the girls when they did the voices. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it's because I'm used to the Japanese dub or what, but the voices in this dub just sound really wooden.
We're just about to eat. Big sister didn't help at all. She made me do everything. Ow! Oh, that hurt.
Plus, honestly, the voices don't really match the characters that well. Noboy's voice actress sounds like a generic valley girl, and her voice doesn't really capture her laid-back personality.
Hey, welcome back.
Nobue, what are you doing getting home earlier than us today?
Why? Would you like to know my secret?
No. What?
Anna doesn't have an English accent like she's supposed to.
Stop looking at me like that. Come on, you guys.
And next is Mew. Now, Mew speaks way too slow in this dub. Well, in the sub version, she talks very fast.
She didn't notice because her butt's already being exposed.
Now, the dub does handle some things interestingly. Like, one of the main plot points of the show is Anna and Matsuri trying to speak English together. Now, in the sub version, obviously, when they practice, they speak English. Now, in the dub, it's not like an Azumanga Dao, where they make Miss Yukari a French teacher instead of an English teacher. Now, in these scenes in the dub, they still speak English. So basically, they go from talking like normal to speaking broken English. So it can be kind of confusing trying to distinguish when the characters are talking like normal and when they're trying to practice English.
Excuse me, I'd like to try this, please. Yes. Oh, it didn't fit me. Smaller size, please.
Another problem is that it doesn't give subtitles when there's Japanese writing, like most anime do. Which honestly wouldn't be so bad. But then there is one scene. It's about 4 minutes long, and it is nothing but written text. And it is almost impossible to understand what is happening, unless you saw the sub version first. The scene has the girls writing on whiteboards to communicate with each other while Noboy sleeps in the bed. And they're making a game out of it to see who can be quiet the longest. Another bizarre thing is the translation of certain things. Anna has a dog called Frusciante, named after the Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer, John Frusciante. Now, Noboe calls out to the dog. In the sub version, she calls out,
ほら、やめろ、フルアンして。
which makes sense because Frusciante might be a little bit difficult for, some people to pronounce. However, in the dub, she literally says,
Come on now, little Fruenshite.
Now, do I recommend Strawberry Marshmallow? It's a simple slice of life anime, and I think you should enjoy it if you enjoy slice of life. If you want something more down to earth, you should really enjoy this show. Now, if you want something more surreal and something with just more wacky moments, check out Nichijou or Azumanga Dao, which honestly are funnier. But this kind of defines slice of life. Literally, nothing crazy happens on this show. Just normal problems that young kids face. In fact, it might actually help bring back memories of when you were a kid and all you had to do was just play with your friends. All in all, it's cute, and you'll probably gush over this show. Watch it if you want something upbeat and short. And please give it a chance. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. This has been the Blockinator.